What's going on, guys? Kulprit here, and today we're going to talk about the new information we got yesterday via Polygon that Battlefield 4 Dragon's Teeth expansion will deliver a two-handed ballistic shield. This information is from a GDC talk by senior animator Ryan Duffin of DICE. I'm going to put a link in the description and go check out the original article if you'd like to. Pretty good. Basically, what it comes down to is they are including with the Dragon's Teeth DLC. Now, for those of you who aren't quite familiar, Dragon's Teeth we know will already be let me see. Experience all-out urban warfare in new multiplayer maps taking place in war-torn cities locked down by the Chinese army. So we knew it was going to be urban, probably a lot more CQB. So this idea of a ballistic shield sort of fits in there, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. Basically, I'm sure some of you clicked this link expecting me to rant and rave and go off on how this is copying COD or whatever. I'm not really going to do that. It's too early to tell. I mean, it's 3 or 4 months away at minimum. Dragon's Teeth is slated to be summer 2014. It's the first one slated as summer 2014, so I'm kind of insinuating that that's going to be early summer. So like I said, I'm thinking 3-4 months away, probably. A lot of time in between. We need some details on this, but I'm just going to kind of talk about some ideas that pop off in my head. But the beef of this video is going to be about 3 other things that this sort of indirectly reveals to us that I thought were more interesting than the actual ballistic shield itself. Now, some of the concerns, obviously, that I have with this is I'm glad, first of all, they aren't letting you shoot while you do this. I think that would be just too trolly. We've seen it in other games. It's people take advantage of this, and they just, again, try to ruin other people's experience. The fact that it's going to be two-handed ballistic shield, I think that's good. It's going to fall in line. If this is going to be in the game, I feel like it has to be a team-only item. If you are going to use this, you are basically just totally neutered as a combat-effective player unless you have squad mates around you helping you. It should be a tool for a squad, not a tool for one guy to troll everybody else. So the article says it's bullet-stopping equipment, but is that the author's words or DICE? Now, the reason I bring that up is because, frankly, if I'm thinking about a ballistic shield and I'm thinking, a visual in my head, think the new side tunnels in, like, Metro where they're really narrow, one guy running up with a ballistic shield. I could see it being useful. But if this thing doesn't stop explosives, it really kind of has no point. There's nothing that's going to stop an LVG from going underneath it, around it, over the top. There's nothing to throw an incendiary at the guy's feet or a grenade. There's just so much stuff. Like, this thing's going to stop an RPG round or a 320 or the 3GL that you just put in the game. There's plenty of stuff that everybody has at their disposal that's going to be able to take this down. I'm kind of worried that they're going to make this thing kind of combat some explosives more like a mobile APS or something, which would be totally ridiculous, and I hope they don't go that route. It doesn't seem that way. The animator goes on to say, like, stopping bullets is really a lot of fun, so it definitely seems to be isolated towards bullets, but my point is, bullets aren't so much the problem in a lot of these CQB environments of Battlefield 4. It's the explosive spam, and this doesn't seem like it's going to do much, if anything, for that. So I think right now it's much ado about nothing. If it's just going to stop bullets, I could see it being a useful tool for me and my squad mates. Smoke a hallway, rush a hallway with a ballistic shield, have 3 or 4 guys behind him ready to take out enemies. That guy with the shield is just going to go take one for the team, and that's fine. I'll do that. Most of you guys watching this video will do that. That's how we play the game. It's not a big deal. But these guys, trolley guys and guys worried about their stats and things, they're not going to do that. So I think that would be okay. There's just plenty of counters to it. A big concern for me is, players will be able to melee with the shield with an auto range of about 1 meter, which seems to fall in line with the knife now. Are we going to get these automatic animations, which would be kind of ridiculous because it's going to take you out from behind the shield, so that'll have to be changed. And player collisions. I mean, we already know CQB, the player collisions of Battlefield 4 are atrocious. It, like, locks up your whole thing, chokes your whole, lags you out. It's crazy. This seems like it's just going to kind of encourage that, and that's a concern, of course, for me. I think I would put this in the engineer class, thinking urban, CQB. Obviously it fits naturally more with the assaulter class, and maybe that would be good because, yes, people would still play assault a lot, but it might make them put down the revive and med pack and pick something else up. That might be willing to entertain, but I would probably throw it in the engineer class just because it would give them something viable to use in those indoor CQB environments where they kind of don't have much to do except for just shoot rockets at people, really. I would also make this take up both gadget slots, because especially if you put it in the engineer class, you can't really imagine somebody having a Riot Shield on his back or however you carry these things when you're not using it, and an RPG as well or something. So make it take up to both gadget slots and make it be, in the engineer class. I think, just off the top of my head, seems like a pretty good way to go. Again, I'm not going to get too big into that until we know more details, but I want to talk about 3 things that kind of indirectly told me about through this statement. And one, Dragon's Teeth is going to be really tight fighting. I mean, we kind of already knew that it was going to be urban, all-out urban warfare, as they say, on war-torn cities locked down by the Chinese army. It jumps out of me like a cross between the Close Quarters DLC and the Aftermath DLC, which sounds spectacular to me. I mean, I love the Aftermath DLC. That was my favorite DLC in Battlefield 3. Close Quarters I didn't really like, but I didn't like because it was too small, and the spawn points were kind of the biggest thing and lacked the compelling game mode. So if you kind of go Metro, think, Aftermath, but with more interiors and maybe some more, things like that. I'm on board. You guys know that that's how I like to play. That's what I enjoy. I just worry because we didn't have all the explosives in Battlefield 3 that we have in Battlefield 4. So that is a big worry to me. But clearly, if they're thinking about a ballistic shield to kind of march down hallways and block bullets for the Dragon's Teeth DLC, we can really infer that the Dragon's Teeth DLC is going to be serious CQB action, urban combat, probably lots of destruction, spam all the way. I really hope it's not so much Metro, it's more Aftermath. Even Blocker would fall somewhere in between there. Grand Bazaar maybe, Send Crossing with more interiors. That would be exceptional. I would be totally on board with that. So let's hope for that and not the Metro style. But only time will tell, but clearly it's going to be some tight combat with just crazy chaos going all over the place. Number 2, this clearly kind of to me indicates that they in fact never stopped working on stuff, despite assuring us that they would stop working on everything until the game is fixed. Well, the game ain't fixed as we sit right now. We've gotten China Rising, we've gotten Second Assault, and now we're imminently about to get Naval Strike. And then in this article, we see that they've been continually working on this Riot Shield, this one little singular item. Now, you might not say it's a big deal. This guy's an animator. It would make some good sense that he would be able to go and work on other things. Sure, I could buy into that, but you can't tell me that this guy couldn't have been working on some of the graphical glitches, the false walls, the false rock edges, the little things that get snagged on all the time. I'm sure there's stuff he could have been doing if they were following their own word. I wouldn't pick this out if they didn't make such a big fuss about saying that nothing would be worked on until the game was fixed. It was clearly false. We all kind of knew that. We all read between the lines. We know how the world works, but it's not very often you see a company contradict itself so much in a public forum like this. It just shows that they were lying at the time and just trying to placate and appease the crowd and the mobs that were kind of had their pitchforks and torches. It's just interesting. It just jumped out at me right away as I was reading the article. And lastly, another thing that we've kind of always known, but some people were in denial about and we never really quite had confirmation of, is they admit that the current generation are holding back design decisions, the 360 and the PS3. He goes on to say, we didn't have enough memory. Basically what he's talking about first, let me set the scene. He was talking about trying to make it so that you use the shield and fire your sidearm pretty much around the shield. Basically, I think that's how it is in other games. I think Call of Duty does that or something. I don't know. You guys have to tell me. I'm glad they're not going that route because, again, clearly that's going to make this a little more trollable. I want it to be that if you're using this thing, you're clearly just a tool for the squad. You're not able to really do much on your own. But anyway, he said we didn't have enough memory to do that. Duffin said it added about a megabyte, but a megabyte on a 2006 console was a lot, so it didn't work out. There you go. I mean, clearly the 360 and PS3 is holding back design decisions. I don't like reading this. And now, guys, let me just say, I'm not hating on consoles. I think you guys are in a rotten position. You're on the current gen. You're looking for a reason to upgrade to the next gen. They haven't really given you a reason to do that yet. I feel for you. I understand. And this isn't even about consoles, because if someone came to me with a 2006 Dell laptop complaining that they couldn't play Battlefield 4, well, I tell them you're SOL and you got to upgrade, pal. It's just about hardware. It's about outdated hardware. This is going to be a big concern for me in the next Battlefield or whatever kind of, iteration they bring out in the franchise or the IP. Are they going to try to support the 5 platforms again, or are they finally going to say, you know what? We got to cut them, and we're only going to support the next gen and the PC. I think that's the only way to go. If they try to support all 5 again, I'm going to have serious reservations about getting on board with that game. It's just how it is. They're trying to stuff more and more and more and more and more into these games, more features, more things to kind of market and bring out to people, but they're not upgrading the infrastructure. I mean, we're still at the same quote-unquote netcode. I mean, there's a reason the bitrate is at 10. I guarantee you that there's a reason for that. And as I watch videos and read forums and articles and things, it certainly seems like they are hamstrung. They are boxed in by the Xbox Live thresholds, the Xbox Live requirements, the max requirement for network. I'm not an engineer, so I'm probably misspeaking, but I think you're going to get my point. The max exchange rate between the server and the client is at this certain number for Xbox Live, and because Battlefield has so much going on, they can only send that information so often and still fall under that cap. That is clearly because of Xbox Live. PC does not have that. As far as I know, and as far as most people know, the next gens do not have that. Maybe they do, and we're just not aware of that, but I'm certain it's probably a lot more than this. That's why games like Counter-Strike can have a higher, tick rate, because they're sending a lot of this data. They don't have all the destruction. They don't have all the explosives and things like this, Levolution and things. So they can send data a lot quicker because they're not sending as much with each send. Again, I'm not an engineer, but I think you get the point I'm making there. It's time to upgrade the infrastructure. You can't keep packing in features and bloat and all kinds of crazy things unless you upgrade the features. If I buy a house and has a half-inch pipe for plumbing and all I have is a kitchen sink and a dishwasher, that's fine. But if I then go and add on a hot tub, a bathtub, a swimming pool and an irrigation system, that half-inch pipe isn't going to cut it. I mean, it's really plain as day, and it's time that they upgraded it. But because of the current gen, they're not able to do that. And I get it. Business-wise, current gen is a huge portion of the market, a lot of potential sales. I get that. But I think next kind of iteration, wherever they go with this, they're going to have a big decision to make, and it's one that I'm going to pay very close attention to. So there you go, guys. I mean, that's just kind of, like I said, 3 other things that kind of indirectly jumped out at me, something I wanted to talk about. I'm not getting riled up about the ballistic shield. I'm kind of disappointed that they seem to be, again, copying Call of Duty. But I do understand there's only so many items they can kind of do in the military world without some overlap. I could see this as a fine tool if it's balanced correctly. That is kind of the question here, and only time will tell on that. So let me know what you guys think about this. Again, some people are all up in arms. Some people are rolling their eyes. I get it. I'm there. I think I'm just kind of beaten down by it at this point. I don't really get too excited about it because nothing at this point excites me. But I just kind of wanted to talk about those 3 indirect things that I noticed from this article. Let me know what you think down in the comments, guys. Like always, I appreciate your support, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.